That's why I've decided from a year ago that I wanted to say goodbye to Sunshine Las Vegas, inevitably. But the next thing was featuring Badass Coffee of Hawaii. Not sponsored, but don't sponsor me, because if anything, we should be sponsoring you. I started Sunshine Las Vegas back in 2018. So if you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas, or
oh my god, is that 6 years ago now? Oh my god.
Just a couple of years before the panorama, I originally started it for a few reasons. At the time of my life that I was at, my life and my career, I was a video content producer. I was just in a situation, both creatively and in my career, where I really wanted to be able to test out my own video strategies and my own content strategies and theories and whatnot without having to go through approval processes or having to pitch to higher ups, and just having like my own sandbox and freedom and playground to create how I wanted, really. And so I had a lot of ideas about YouTube and a lot of theories that I wanted to test with content on YouTube. When I got to that point where I just needed my own outlet, that's how the idea for this channel came about, because I was like, what can I be really consistent with and talk about really easily, or create content around really easily without having to think about it too hard? Honestly, it came as a no-brainer, and that was Vegas, because at the time I was traveling here and there. I was meeting a lot of different kinds of people and talking to a lot of people from everywhere, whether it was in my travels or even just the different types of people that come in and out and pass through this very transient city. And so a lot of the conversations that I noticed I was having was around what it's like to live in Las Vegas, because I feel like to the world, Vegas is just this adult playground that you go and vacation, and you never really think about the people that live there or consider what life is like. You don't really meet people from Vegas. For me, being a military child, a Navy brat, I grew up living in so many different places, or moving around every 3 years. And by that point that I was pondering any sort of YouTube channel, I had lived in Vegas for about a decade by that point, and I was having lots of conversations about what it was like to be living in Las Vegas, or what it was like to be a local in Las Vegas. And honestly, I loved it, because again, coming from somebody who never really felt what it was like to be rooted anywhere or to be from anywhere prior to living in Vegas, it was really nice to be able to shed a different light and perspective in my conversations and the people that I talked to about Vegas, and to also give recommendations to people who are new to Vegas. That was another big thing to me, being a military brat and always being the new kid in town. I always felt so compassionate and empathetic for people who were new to a place, because I was always new and I didn't always have the resources, or it could take some time to settle in and really feel comfortable. On the flip side of that, I've always been so grateful for the people that, you know, did welcome me and help every place that I've lived in eventually feel like home. And so, yeah, I've always had a soft spot for the new kid, essentially, like the new person in town. So whenever I met somebody who I had learned that just moved here, I would just be so quick to verbal vomit all the recommendations, like, and all of the things to do and places to go and places to be and see and think. Because another thing is, Vegas, I felt like, especially at the time, was very much only known for the Strip. I had learned within the decade that there is so much more to Vegas than just the Strip and more than just the Cirque du Soleil and the buffets and the shopping and the things on the Strip, but Vegas actually has such a bustling and vibrant community. If you've been here a while, you've heard me say it time and time again, Vegas is like one giant suburb with a bunch of different kinds of neighborhoods and pockets of community. I think that's where my love for being a Vegas local kind of came from and grew from and had continued to evolve from, is, you know, feeling for the first time in my life like I could say I was from somewhere, and saying that I actually grew up somewhere because I went to high school here. So to me, that was like growing up. It feels like, you know, I've been here since I was a child, and now I'm almost 30. We don't have to talk about that. Yeah, and then just to see the way that Vegas has grown and evolved and become a new city essentially every single year, and being exposed to just all the wide array of local businesses and culture and art communities here, I always felt like it was so underrated. And, you know, those sides of Vegas and those sides of the community, especially the small businesses, deserved a chance to shine and deserved to be part of the conversation. So yeah, that's really why this channel came so easily to me and why I started it. Aside from that, it also became a creative outlet at the time. I remember at the time, most of the content out there, most of the Vegas related content and YouTube videos out there, just like the content out there at all, was so focused on the tourist experience and what you can do at the Strip, or like what you could do in the casino and gambling and yada yada yada, and or a lot of the neighborhood videos or like the local perspective videos were from the perspective of realtors or real estate agents. And don't get me wrong, that's not to knock any of that content or anyone out there who creates that content. And there are a lot of great creators in real estate, don't get me wrong, but I also knew that, you know, there were certain limitations to what they could say about certain neighborhoods and certain areas. And so I also kind of just wanted to be a resource and be able to keep it real about what the experience was like potentially moving to Vegas, you know, for anyone considering moving to Vegas. And I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely before, and keep in mind, this is 2018, 2019. This was pre-pandemic. It was just so different. I actually felt like more people should consider moving here because of how great and just how growing of a city it was. So anyway, obviously a lot has changed, not only since the pandemic, but to Vegas, and from that, like, a lot has changed since I've started this channel. Oh man, I'm really, really grateful for everything Sunshine Las Vegas brought about, the connections. I've become friends with some of you, or met some of you through this crazy internet world, which is so cool, and I'm fortunate to be able to call some of you real life friends and connections to this day. My little like new kid heart has just been happy to be a resource and kind of like be helpful to people who are in that season of transition. Woo! Little location change because my camera died or my memory got full on that last video. So, you know, either in your adolescent or young adult or just whatever stage of life, how you can have those friendships, your best friends or the people closest to you, how they have their seasons, right? And as you evolve through life, sometimes those people are able to come with you, and there are some that aren't able to come with you because maybe somewhere along the way you guys outgrew each other, and it was nobody's fault and nobody's wrong for it, and it didn't mean that relationship was broken. More often than not, I've been learning that as you grow and as you evolve, it's common to grow away from or evolve from the things that once really made sense and were really perfect in that time in life. So I've beat myself up about this so much. I think that Sunshine Las Vegas was a lot about, in part, wanting to be that resource and wanting to be helpful, but on another side, it was an avenue, it was an outlet for my creative expression and for my self-expression in a way, and a way to be able to share more, I guess, personal sides of my life, because I feel like a lot of what I share or put out on my main accounts, for those who don't know, I have a full-time business, Sunshine Digital. I feel like the kind of content that I create and the kind of work that I do and the way that I serve on there is so focused on being also a resource, but very value driven, and there's more of an intention to be in communion and relation with other people, with other like minds. I eventually ended up feeling like Sunshine Las Vegas was a place where I could have more freedom for my self-expression and my creativity, but then I started to feel guilty because there's a point where I really wanted to make it work, especially since it had grown in a relatively short amount of time, and then it plateaued because I plateaued. I plateaued because I wasn't really clear. It's like I could have continued just making videos solely on like Las Vegas and tips for Vegas. And at the time that it started, I felt like there was a lot of local representation and local perspective lacking in the Vegas space, at least. Now fast forward to 2024, and there are an abundance of local Vegas content creators. There is such a wealth of information and resource and knowledge. So I think maybe that's another reason why I didn't feel super compelled to keep pursuing things to do, what to do, tips for this, tips to that, because I feel like there was no shortage of tip channels. And so thinking about the person or the audience, thinking about the viewer that I was serving or trying to connect to, I didn't feel like I had to be a resource anymore, honestly, because there was so many resources out there at this point. So then at one point I kind of just tried to make it more of a local, like a local lifestyle channel, something more personal to me, and like what my life in Vegas looks like and what my life as a local actually looks like, instead of like telling you what it could look like through the recommendations and whatnot. But even then, even though that felt a little bit better, it was still a journey and a process trying to navigate what it would mean to continue creating for the channel, but then also growing the channel. But then as I continued to create and navigate, I found that it started to feel limiting. I was thinking about Sunshine Las Vegas in particular, and I've always known in my heart of hearts that, you know, Vegas has become home. It's become somewhere that I've become really rooted in, and it's become somewhere that I continually want to invest in, and that's not going to change for the foreseeable future, because I feel like I'm falling more and more in love with it as a city and as a community member every day. But I've always been working towards being able to have a life of travel, being able to experience and explore more of the world. I think that's something that Sunshine Las Vegas has given me is, and not only Sunshine Las Vegas has given me, but just as a Las Vegas local has given me, is a real admiration and appreciation and love for local businesses and local art. I feel like developing and moving through that lens, living here in Las Vegas, I've also carried it into other places. You know, whenever I do travel, whenever I do go somewhere else, I really make it my priority to support local businesses, check out local art, and just contribute to the local economy. Sidebar, I don't know if anyone's heard of how sort of social media and like Instagram tourism has had negative impacts on some economies, because even though it has increased travel with everyone having more resources and awareness of the places that you can go and experience, there are those who only travel for the gram. And when they go to a new place, I think Paris was the example that I heard about where this is really common. You go book a Hilton hotel or you stay at a big chain hotel and then you go and see the Louvre or the Eiffel Tower and, you know, these typical tourist spots, but then you eat at the Hilton and you eat at these familiar chains, and then so what's happening to that economy is that the big corporations are the ones that are benefiting from those tourism dollars. Meanwhile, the local merchants and the local business owners are getting pushed out because the price of rent and the cost of living. Okay. Third day of trying to get this video finished is the charm. All the other backstory and context aside, the main idea is this. I don't resonate with Sunshine Las Vegas anymore, and I haven't for a while. What it came down to is keeping it purely resource-based content wasn't going to be sustainable for me, because at the end of the day, Sunshine Las Vegas was a passion project. I'm already involved in so many different communities and different types of work. I just wanted to make sure that if I was going to have a passion project that was wholly my own, I figured it should at least be something that I enjoy and could still feel like an outlet. So I have the text messages still, but I texted my best friend. So it's been over a year that I started pondering and sitting on this. I knew I didn't want to continue Sunshine Las Vegas anymore since then, which is also kind of why I haven't pressured myself to keep up with it. I feel like a huge part of my journey in the last year, which I know is going to be a lifelong journey, so I feel comfortable going in this direction, is sort of like rediscovering in a way and reconnecting to my Filipino roots and identity. I made a very vulnerable post about this a while back on one of my accounts, but for a while I felt it was a good thing to come off as ethnically ambiguous, and I liked being hard for people to figure out in terms of what my ethnicity is, because it just felt safer that way. This is a topic for a whole nother day, but it was hard for me for a while, and I know that I'm not the only one that feels like this. There are a lot of others. There's a lot of us out there that have this shared experience of being Filipino in America, but in particular being a Filipino woman. And I know Asian women share this too, but particularly when white men find out you're Filipino, and it's not just white men, but they're the main perpetrators. There's this very specific and common type of white man that when they find out you're Filipina, you just immediately feel fetishized and objectified. It's really weird. I'm not going to go into it in this video. Maybe we could talk about it in a future video, but it's a whole thing. It's not uncommon for a whole demographic of people to go to the Philippines specifically to find a wife. Yeah, I think we'll really have to save this topic for another day and talk about it. Yeah, it's even hard to talk about, but I've just felt, I don't know. I know a lot of people say this, but I really am an energy person, and I can feel somebody's intentions when I interact with them. And I've just had a lot of uncomfortable, unwanted experiences and advances that I knew were not of pure intentions. So for a while, I minimized that side of me. I wasn't like out and proud about it, but if somebody guessed, like I wouldn't deny it, but I just couldn't bring myself to be as expressive and proud of my culture the way that I see like my Mexican friends or my Chinese friends or my friends from other cultures, how it's just a non-issue for them. Being a part of the beginning and the growth of Historia to what it is now, it's helped me reconnect to that part of me that I had hidden with shame. And it's just opened up a journey that has helped me see how beautiful and how prominent and how strong it is, particularly here in Las Vegas. And for once, it didn't feel like my parents' culture, you know? For once, it was a way for me to be able to get to know and experience it as something that's my own. and a way to experience it on a more personal level and to learn. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning so much, but I've come so far from the days where I shied away from letting anybody know. And it's been so freeing. It's been so synchronistic. It's been so community driven, especially knowing that it's not just me, and it's just been a journey full of so much love and learning. And with that, that's why I've decided from a year ago that I wanted to say goodbye to Sunshine Las Vegas, inevitably. But the next thing was, what was going to be next? At first, I was like, oh, maybe I should just go by my first and middle name. You know how a lot of people, like a lot of channels out there, don't have a particular niche spelled out in their name, and they just have like their first and last name, or their first name and middle name. I didn't really want to go that route, and so someone had suggested to me, is there a word in your language that means something or that is meaningful to you? So that got me thinking, and it got me coming up with a list of words, and I really couldn't make the decision. And I feel like maybe I also wasn't in that place. Maybe I was just too much in like the pondering phase, and I think I knew I would just had to sit on it for a bit until I knew that I knew without a shadow of a doubt what it was supposed to be. And now, and a year later, you know, it's finally come, and I'm so excited about it. So yes, it's farewell to Sunshine Las Vegas, but I'm really, really excited and just feel so fulfilled and hopeful about this channel's next chapter, which is Sunshine Malaya. So Sunshine, obviously, that's my name. I wanted to keep it easy, just remember, so people could remember that my name is Sunshine. I'll do another video, like a whole new channel intro and whatnot, going a little bit more in depth, but Malaya means free. It means light, you know? So I felt like that was perfect, and that really resonated with me after kind of sitting on it for a year, because I went from feeling like that my creativity and my expression was limited to the value of a singular location, Sunshine Las Vegas, to now me not only feeling freer to express and to create more freely, but then also geographically, it gives me more freedom to also create content around the values that I have picked up living here in Las Vegas to other places, you know, because travel is very much in the cards for me. I wasn't gonna say it in this video, but I'm actually going back to the motherland next month. I will be there for like a good 5 weeks. I would love to document it. I'd love to share it, but I just didn't have any places to put any of that made sense, you know? So it feels like it's all come for full circle. It feels like it's all coming full circle. And I am just really, really excited to continue sharing, to continue creating, and to continue highlighting and sharing the idea and the values of supporting local. Vegas really, really taught me how much it means and what it is to support local and live a lifestyle of supporting local. So I take that with me wherever I go. So yeah, that's what's coming up next. Sunshine Malaya. If the channel name hasn't changed by now, then it will very, very soon, meaning that if you follow me on Instagram as well, I'm on there at the time of this recording as Sunshine Las Vegas. It may or may not be, by the time that this video gets posted, Sunshine Malaya. So thank you everyone who has stuck around for all these years while I was just trying to figure my shit out. But isn't that all of us? Still definitely want to highlight the local scene, because there's just no way that I could not. But it won't just be in Vegas. So I understand if you originally came here for all the Vegas specific tips, and that it's not to say that I won't give Vegas tips and things like that, but that's just not going to be the entire focus anymore, especially since I'm not the only Vegas local creator. There is such a wealth of local Vegas creators out there. So take your pick. It's a buffet. Thanks again for listening to my little ramble. If you made it this far, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Sunshine Malaya.